What's going on, guys? It's King K back again with another video. Thank you guys for tuning in once again for another informative video. Today, I'm going to be talking about interracial relationships. Now, this topic is a very controversial one because there are pros and there are cons. And I'm going to talk about both a little bit, touch on both in this video because I feel like it's very important to touch on both. I wouldn't necessarily consider myself an expert in this topic. But I have some experience in the matter, so I felt like I wanted to share my own experience with interracial relationships, and maybe it'll help you, or maybe you would have similar or different views about what I'm about to say. But all the same, let's get into the video right now. For the purpose of this video, I've decided to list the pros first and then go to the cons. And I try to make this video like, more pro interracial relationships, but this does not in any way speak against interracial relationships. It's just, kind of like comparing both and giving you both points and both views. And you do with the information what you choose. I'm not trying to discourage anybody that wants to be in an interracial relationship, because trust me, relationships with any kind of person, race, is beautiful. Love is beautiful, and love should exist and transcend above all colors of skin, regardless. So yeah, let's start with the first pro. The first pro is with dating somebody out of your culture, with dating somebody like, with a different culture or background from you, different race. You are going to learn new things that you did not know, new things other than what you know about your culture or what you know about your race. Okay. Now, me being a black man, a black Nigerian man who moved to Toronto, Canada, I dated a girl who was mixed with, she was both French and Spanish, but visibly she was more to be considered white. She looked white, you know what I mean? Obviously, like, I moved to Canada, more Western culture and, a more European influenced culture than my African or my Nigerian upbringing. And I had to learn a lot about, like, how things worked here. Obviously Canada is a very politically correct place, and it's a very, let's just say it's more modern than traditional. So therefore, there was a little bit of friction in obviously where I was coming from and where she was coming from, her upbringing versus mine. And that caused, some issues. I'm not gonna lie, like it wasn't the forefront of our relationship, but there were things that were like underlying, and like there were that were just seeping through the cracks, and you could tell, you could see that, okay, either I don't agree with something or she doesn't agree with something because of our culture, or because of how we grew up, where we grew up, our countries that we grew up in. This is something that you will face if you're in an interracial relationship, because it's just bound to happen. Love transcends all. So therefore, I was happy to learn, like, meet her halfway. I was happy to learn where she was coming from and, understand her. And obviously when you understand where someone's coming from, you get to understand them as a person, how it influences the way they behave, the way they think, the way they reason, and their belief. And, I learned a lot of new things. So that I think is a pro for interracial relationships. And she also learned a lot about Nigeria and, like, the Nigerian culture and, the people, the food. Obviously, like, when my parents would come, or when, like, I would have family or invite her to a family event, she would try Nigerian food. And I also got to try Spanish food, and I discovered that I had a love for Spanish food, and it was just a blend of cultures. And, like, I learned a lot of things about both the white part of her, like, the Caucasian race and Hispanic race. Even learned how to speak a little bit of the language, and she was learning how to speak a little bit of my language, Nigerian pidgin. It was interesting. It was, to say the least, it was interesting, right? And that is one of the pro. You learn new things, and, like, you're better for it. Another thing that I would consider a pro is acceptance. Okay, now this is something that happens when her family or his family, as the case may be, accepts you into their culture, or their extended family as well accepts you into their culture, and you are being accepted by people that are different from you, and it's a sense of, like, belonging. Like you no longer just belong to your race or your culture. You are now blended into another culture, and it's beautiful, to see that happen. And obviously, like I'm all for inclusion, and I'm all for everybody loving themselves and everybody like coming together. So it is a beautiful thing to see when people accept each other and come together and get married or like be in a relationship regardless of where they come from. The third thing, obviously, you hear a lot of people talk about is sometimes it looks like it is, just one of those things that is a trend. Everybody wants mixed babies. Everybody wants mixed baby. Everybody talk about mixed babies. Oh my God, the hair. Oh my God, they're so cute. There's just this talk about how beautiful like mixed kids are. And personally, yeah, mixed kids are cute, but black kids are cute too. There are white kids that are cute too. There's very beautiful Spanish babies. Every kid in every race have their cuteness. Babies are cute, period. So personally, I don't know, but a lot of people love the idea of mixed children. It is something that in society is very, very rampant. People just want mixed babies, and they get into interracial relationships because they want mixed babies. And there have been white girls that tell me that they want interracial babies. They want to get with me because they want to make interracial babies. They want their mixed babies. So it is a thing, and I'm sure you would know that it is a thing as well, because you might have experienced or you feel that way too. You want mixed babies, and there's nothing wrong with that. Good for you. All the better. Make babies. The fourth thing is finding love outside of your race. Now, a lot of people don't necessarily have a lot of luck, especially when they're in a foreign country or when they're in a place where there's not a lot of their kind of people or their race. They need to be loved and they need to find love, and they end up looking outside their race. For example, if I lived in Nunavut, I don't know how many black people I can count in Nunavut, but I'm pretty sure there are very few. I probably would not be, as lucky to find a black person to date. So the same thing, if I'm in Russia, I'll most likely find a Russian girl, or, unless I'm lucky enough to meet a black person. So yeah, people find love outside of their culture, and it increases the pool. It makes the pool of both men and women a lot wider than when you're nitpicking from just, your race or what you look like. So yeah, finding love outside of your race could also be a thing. It is a pro for interracial relationships. So another thing I can add to the pros, so we'll call it the fifth thing, is the wedding is going to be the bomb, okay? You can just imagine like Nigerian and Indian weddings combined. Like it is going to be mind-blowing. The food, the attires, people going to dress good. You know what I mean? And it's just going to be a grand party. It's going to be a grand event. Or you can imagine a Nigerian and Spanish wedding, and oh my God, the food, the combination of the food, mind blowing. Okay, so weddings are definitely another pro. So y'all go ahead and get hitched and invite me to the wedding, cause I'm trying to live it up. Now let's get into the cons, because this is the most controversial part of this video, and I'm just gonna go into it. I'm just gonna say them out. So the first con that I experienced in my own relationship, my previous relationship, was cultural differences. As much as you learn in a new culture, there is a lot of rift, and there is a lot of sometimes, misunderstandings with where, you're coming from, and your ideology with your partner's ideology, or, your beliefs with your partner's beliefs. And it's just a lot. And when you're also involving your family that may have different beliefs, it just sometimes could be catastrophic. So it is kind of a situational basis. I cannot generalize and say every interracial relationship is like that, but it does happen, and it's quite common for it to happen where there are completely opposing beliefs or opposing families in the mix, and they don't get along, and you and your partner may end up breaking up because the family just can't get along and they can't get over their differences, which sucks. But it is a reality. The second con is racism. So your family might get along, and everything might be swell, and you might decide to visit the country that your partner is from. Just because the family accepts you does not mean that everybody from that place might necessarily approve or accept you. So this is another thing. So you cross one hurdle and you're still in another obstacle that you need to get through, and it is sometimes very frustrating. For example, let's say I meet a Russian girl and I date a Russian girl, and I want to travel to Russia, and I am in Russia, and Russian man might look at me and be like, "What is going on here? Why is she dating this black man?" And now I'm not saying Russians are racist, but it might be obviously not the norm. You know what I mean? So racism happens, and it is just more prevalent when you see interracial couples. And this brings me to the third thing, the third con, which is also the stares, the judgment, the whispers. Hey, 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 look at them. Oh my God, like, it's a mixed couple. Like, people talk, and they talk, and they talk, and it could be just talking about you, and your partner. It could be about your baby, your mixed kid, like, everybody pointing at your mixed kid or pointing at you all as a family. Oh my God, sometimes it is just frustrating to go through this, but it does happen, and it is another con of interracial relationships. You always have to be aware or be self-aware about everything, which brings me to the fourth point, I believe. You have to basically question everything that you do. You don't want to offend your partner's race, and at the same time, you are trying to learn and accept and assimilate and probably represent your partner's race, but people just don't get it and they don't approve. So it might be from getting stares when, I keep using this example of when you're dating, for example, as a black man dating a Russian woman, and she's wearing a dashiki in Russia. Don't get me wrong, but people are gonna stare. People are gonna wonder what the hell she's doing. The same thing if you're Jamaican and you bring a Russian girl to Jamaica and she's speaking patois because she hears you speak patois, she hears everybody speak patois. Everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my God, what's going on here?" Now, not a lot of people might be upset about it or offended by it. They might just be in awe that she speaks properly in or fluently in patois, or in whatever language that you choose to substitute in there. But it is different. This brings me to the fifth thing, okay? The kids. I've met a lot of mixed kids or a lot of interracial kids that sort of have this identity crisis where they don't know where they stand. Am I white or am I black? People think I'm white, people think I'm black, but I'm both, and I identify with both, but people expect me to choose one, and people expect me to be just one, or they get offended when I'm trying to be one and I don't necessarily look like that part of the gene pool. But mixed kids are both, and they should be able to pick and choose both or one. I don't know how it works. I'm not a mixed kid, but it is something that mixed kids have to deal with, where there is this identity crisis that they have to go through. And it is not a generalization again, but it does occur often with mixed children. One other con about interracial relationships is the sense of isolation if the family does not accept you. For example, at those family events or at those family get-togethers where you just seem to be the odd one out, you just seem to be just kind of there, and everybody else is doing their thing, and you might not understand. Let's say there's language barriers, you might not understand exactly what is really going on. You're just there because you got to show up, and they're speaking some other language, maybe Spanish, and you can't understand, or you don't get the jokes. You know what I mean? Like, it happens. A lot of people might brush over it and just laugh, haha, well, I don't understand. But for some other people, they might, take it personally and just feel lost in those kind of situations. It does happen, and it did happen to my ex sometimes, where I was with a bunch of my friends, Nigerians, and we're speaking pidgin, or we're just making a joke that Nigerians might find funny, but she just didn't get it, and that's okay too. You know what I mean? It happens, and it's not a big reason why people should not be in interracial relationships. It's just one of the cons. Finally, the last con I'm going to give is people talk, yes, but nobody likes to be told that they don't know how to care for their kids. So I've heard with some white women with mixed kids where they have been told that they don't know how to take care of the black hair, or the mixed baby hair, because they don't know how to style it, or they don't know what to do with it. I've also heard the white women complaining that they actually don't know what they're doing and they don't know what to do with it. Then we have to talk about the fact that if you're mixed with black, you can tend to have ashy skin. And if she don't know to put the Vaseline, or she don't know what lotion to use or what body soap to use for the mixed kid, there might be some issues, there might be some problems, you know what I mean? So you got to do your research, and you got to know how to take care of your mixed baby or your black baby if you adopt a black baby and you're not black. Anyways, yeah, that's the final con for interracial relationships that I'm going to give. With saying all this, love is a beautiful thing, and it could be a beautiful experience if you decide to go into an interracial relationship. You might not pick who you fall in love with. It might just happen, and go for it. Don't be scared to love, especially not because of color or because what people might say. Feel free to choose who your heart chooses. Let love lead the way. As long as you're happy, as long as everybody's happy, well, mostly as long as you're happy, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter if the family is not happy, as long as you both find love and you're both in love and you're both yada, 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 that's all that matters. So go out there and be happy. That's all I got to say, okay? Once again, it's King K, and I hope you found this video entertaining or informative. Whichever, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section if you want to talk about your interracial relationship, your journey, or if you're looking to get into an interracial relationship, or if you just have comments, or if you just want to say something. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I will see you in the next video.